Talking about key.
Wow. Hey, much love and respect. Pura vida, mi gente. Hey, how you guys doing? Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys taking the time to do that. As always, it's been a while since we kind of did a little premiere of our live, huh? Hope you guys have been enjoying the videos. I kind of purposely just try to not do a premiere or a live, just kind of been spoiling you guys a little bit, so. But today, real quick, just want to say hi and just go over and review a certain video on the internet, on YouTube, from another channel, right? We're literally gonna hear mostly an AI talking and Kurimeo talking, but you see what I mean. So again, appreciate you guys tuning in. What we talking about? We're talking about primary accounts of the Black nobility. And if you're new to my channel, you probably don't even know what we're talking about, and you think this is something new, and that's why something like what the thumbnail shows. It might be something like, wow, what is he talking about? No way, who is that on the cover? Who's that black nobility they never told us about? But in reality, we've been doing the research for a while now. And that has spread out. There has been a lot of influence around in the YouTube community and different YouTubers talking about the same information and research that we've been doing in the last couple years, and that's all good and that's awesome. That's awesome that the information gets spread. It's just surprising though sometimes when you kind of know, and I'm gonna show you why I know that certain people be watching, a lot of the videos, on the channel and this channel, right? And so for them to grab the same info and then twist the narrative a little bit and just like Pan-Africanize it a little bit, it kind of shows me, a little bias, but you know, and and more importantly, intentional, because I'm not saying that, and I'm showing you sources and everything, and so when we're talking about primary accounts, right? Primary sources, descriptions of these people. We got so many videos about so-called Black Europeans, Sephardic Jews, so-called Moors. They're gonna mention all that today, but they're gonna give you another narrative, and we're gonna basically be doing a review, and we're gonna remind everybody when to dodge the hijack. Okay, hey guys, dodge the hijack. This part right here. Remember this. Remember that. Remember this. Right? Okay. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. We're gonna get into it. Damn, my fault. All right. Yeah, I was muted. My fault. So thank you for tuning in. All right. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know how long I've been muted. So what we're gonna do today is talk about a video right here from this channel Without History. As you guys can see, very successful channel, 199,000 subscribers. This video alone, 459,000 views. Pretty good, right? Doing pretty good. All right, number 30, Elizabeth suppressed primary accounts of Black nobility in Europe. So what I was showing you is in the description of the video, it says here, huge thanks to these amazing researchers and supporters, Kurimeo, and then some other ones right here, right? So Kurimeo, right? We're gonna go ahead and review this video, fair use, and there's actually a lot of my video clips on this video, and actually me talking on this video, all right? Which, I didn't mind because, he's kind of shutting me out here in the description, and he does mention my name at the very end of the video. So, I just thought something else when I first saw this. All right. So I just want to go ahead and break this down. Okay. This one right here. See how it says no way? No way. That's why I put the cover that I made. They never told us. They never told us. They never told us. No way. They never told us. Did I do a good job? Check it out, guys. What do you guys think? Did I do a good job? Oh my gosh. Did I look surprised? Yeah. Did I look surprised enough? Does the clickbaiting work with these thumbnails? Does the clickbaiting work? No way. They never told us. No way. They never told us. No way. So, without history, right? Without history, what happens? When you don't know history, you might be, oppressed, you might be controlled, you might give up your rights, your land, your whole identity. But without history, if we didn't know any better, we would also not only, as we're basically, the topic of this video is how they have whitewashed history, right? But something that we tend to do as well is Africanize history or Pan-Africanize history, right? Pan-Africanize history. And that's the thing. We're going to have to dodge the hijack a lot on this video. We're going to break it down, like I said. All right. So when I when I did this thumbnail, I said, no way. I'm not saying because I didn't know there was Black Europeans. I'm saying no way they didn't just twist my words and Pan-Africanize all my sources they just used on their video. Even got me talking in the video. But it's all good, it's all good. But we're gonna this is an opportunity for learning. Like, you know, every time people make mistakes, like in a job setting, there's always an opportunity for learning. This is an opportunity for reminding people what these sources are saying and what they're not saying. More importantly, what they're not saying. All that other stuff you're adding. All that other stuff you're adding. Get what I'm saying? All right. All right, so they tried to erase them. So we're gonna get into this video real quick, right? All right, right from the beginning. I'm gonna tell you, it starts out with this guy talking, and I fell for it. All right, he got me. I fell for it. I thought that was the guy. I thought this was the guy's channel. I fell for it. This is not the guy's channel. This guy doesn't really. This is just the beginning of the video. He got this guy talking to make it seem like he's with Associated and the one kind of like who did the video, but it's not him. But let's go. All right, you see what I mean?
Talking about key Africans who have played the part in European history. Was it? I just want to ask a question right at the beginning. Have these people been written out of history? Have they been forgotten by most of us? And how hard was it to tease them out?
When historians show that the iconoclast movement was primarily an effort to remove all images and icons depicting black people in a position of power, or as deities, these historians are labeled as historical revisionists. And yet it is not just a few images that show that there was a substantial black nobility in Europe before 1453, but in fact, despite centuries of sustained effort to suppress and erase this African presence, there still remains a large body of evidence that still shows this. In 1352, when Jacob van Maerlant made his famous painting of Charlemagne killing a Moorish leader, this is how he drew the Moorish leader. As a black African. Historic
So my fault, I was muted again. So as you guys can see, it's talking about Black Europeans, but he tries to Africanize it right away. As you guys can see here, anything black, he's gonna say it's Africans, and he's gonna get into the Moors and everything. All right, but I thought the guy talking in the beginning, the English accent guy, which is not the same as the AI voice you're hearing now throughout the video. I thought that was his channel. Okay, but here we go.
Historical revisionists, in fact, are those who have closed their eyes to the abundance of evidence showing that black people, in a second wave of civilizing influence, revived Europe and gave it the foundation for its renaissance. After having invented agriculture in 9500 BC, and after having spawned the two most influential civilizations in ancient times, Kemet, better known as ancient Egypt and Sumer, it is black Africans that injected into Europe and the Levant writing, science, religion, and culture.
All right, so as you guys see here, this is very Pan-African ideology. So Kemet etymology means rich black soil. It's not a place in Africa. Okay, rich black soil, Kemet, rich black soil, fertile place, fertile soil from the Nile's floods. What now? The Great River. Nile is a Greek word that means great river. We also have a great river, which actually has 7 tributaries, as is described in the Bible. Egypt, the river of Egypt having, and that's the Mississippi, which the word actually means great river in American indigenous languages. Okay, so this is what I'm saying. All right. So we agree with a lot of stuff. Yes, it was people of color that were the founders of a lot of the Renaissance and a lot of the stuff, inventions and royalty and stuff in Europe. Okay. What I want to, point out is we got to dodge the hijack though, with the whole trying to Africanize all these people. You guys will see it's gonna just make everybody into a Moor, even the Celts, even the pigs, even the indigenous, like everybody's just a Moor from the Moorish invasion. And that's the history they try to teach us. That's the mainstream narrative. They always try to make it seem like that's from so-called black folks or Negro people ended up in Europe, and there was already black or Negro people there. We just did a video the other day about the Black Welsh, small Black Welsh, the indigenous people of the area, the first people there, the black, even in Ireland and Germany and Italy. We got videos on this. I'm going to remind you guys of this. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to play the video again.
These were inherited by the Roman Empire, which then collapsed in the 5th century AD. And so began the long collapse of European society until the return of the Africans in the 8th century, when the blacks, this time, as the Moors re-injected into Europe, what ultimately became the spark of modernization. In the 800 years that the Moors occupied Spain, the ethnic makeup of these Moors changed over time. It is the early wave of these Moors that were the most influential, and it happens to be the same early waves that were in great majority black African. And they came in such numbers and with such knowledge that they gained significant positions of power in pre-Renaissance European history. And it is this group of black Africans that joined with the remnants of the first civilizing wave of Africans, a few of them still present in Europe. These two groups joined to form a new elite class throughout Europe. And you will see evidence of their presence through multiple artifacts and historical records today. When we show that Renaissance Europe was in great majority sparked by Africans, it does not mean that Europeans or Asiatics are not capable of civilization building. What we are showing, however, is that Europe of the Dark Ages benefited from the technology, science, philosophy, medicine, and architecture that were reintroduced by a majority black Africans elite in the early periods of the Moors, which transformed over the centuries into a nobility class with evidence littered all over medieval texts.
So, again, everything is all African, right? So, African this, African that, and it was Africans that came and, trying to actually exclude the fact that Europe had indigenous so-called black folks, Negro people. The fact that someone tries to make every black or Negro person in the world, even in ancient times, and African in modern times, it happens still. That's to me, that's still missing a lot of context and history. So what you're gonna see now in this part of his video is and I'm gonna show you that we have references to what he's talking about. And how he tried to say it's basically only the Moors, and because the Moors came and invaded for 800 years, and that's it, and that's why there's black folks in Europe, and they ended up being the black Jacobites, the black this, the black that. Like, that's not all the same people. We've broken this down very specifically. Okay, but let's see what it says.
In the book Memoirs of the Secret Service of John Mackey, he provides meticulous descriptions of many of the influential figures of his time. Of these, one of most interesting description is that of Mr. Methuen, ambassador to the King of Portugal. He is said to be a man of intrigue, but very muddy in his complexion. In his complexion and manners much of a Spaniard, a tall black man, 50 years old. Here the author gives us the general description of the man living in Spain, the one we call the Moors. In his own words of his first account, they are tall men of black complexion. And this description of the Moors is not unique. As we saw, it shows up in paintings, it shows up in carvings. It shows up in paintings, it shows up in carvings. It also shows up in innumerable medieval texts. But the Africans were not the only Moors. Arabs made a good contingent of the Moor population, but the sheer number of black Africans as Moors caused the contemporary artists and writers to depict them as black with clearly identifiable black features. One of the most influential Moor factions was the Almoravids, a group that brought many inventions to Europe, including the horseshoe arch. Coming from present-day Mauritania and Mali when they were majority black, the Almoravids were depicted and almost universally described as black by their contemporaries. In the book Historia Compostelana, they are described as follows. Quote, after almost 3 years, the Almoravids, Moabite, whom the heat of the sun makes them similar to the Ethiopians, invaded the fortresses and dependent towns of Toledo and attacked with more force than usual. End quote. The book also goes on to state that, quote, before they ruled they had worn their veil, ledum, in the desert, only against the heat and cold as the Arabs do, and were mostly of dark, asmar complexion. End quote. And the Arabic word asmar describes a color that is as dark as coal. And their leader was described as brown skin with kinky hair. Yet another leader of the Almoravids, Abu Bakr ibn Umar, was depicted as shown, as you can see, unmistakably black. Once they arrived in Europe, these blacks started showing up in increasing frequency as royals and nobles all over Europe.
All right, we showed a lot. All right, don't get lost, guys. Don't get lost. Wake up, wake up. So, a lot to break down. He mentioned the Almoravids, right? And he said Moabites, literally right after Almoravid Moabites. Who also told that? Who also said you are the ancient Moabites. The Moors are the ancient Moabites, all right? So we got this like from 5 years ago, part 3, no more misunderstanding, Goliath David, Almoravid, Moabite. And in this part, we're talking about Mecha, the Moabi Desert. Okay, we got the article right here. Just for reference, right? This is by, again, Moors, Moabite, and Berbers by Chikwe L., Moorish American Research Group for the Moorish Science Society. Okay. And just the Moabi Desert. Check this out. It says Prophet Noble Drew Ali makes a critical claim that must be examined here. He says the Moors, who were ancient Moabites and founders of the holy city of Mecca. Here Ali is saying that Moabites founded the city of Mecca, which puts the location of Moab in central and southern Arabia, deviating from the commonly accepted geographical boundaries Moab per very early sources. Mecca has an ancient name, which is rendered Mecha. Is Mecha a play on the name Mecca? What's also interesting to note is the previous reference. Mecha has one of its meanings given as salvation, an epithet given to the word Messiah, Messiah, Mesha, which appears to be phonetic variant of value. Conversely, Mesha is also kin of Moab, that existed outside the biblical narrative. Correlations can be drawn between these 2 points. Egyptian-born independent Egyptologist Mustafa Gadala elucidates the Moorish connection to Moab, but also his connection to ancient Egypt. This combined alliance of rulers, Berbers and Arabs, mercenaries and tax collectors had a common origin, the Moabi Desert region. Theodorus Book 1 tells us an Egyptian colony at present-day Moab, which is the origin of the Arab and Jews who collaborated to govern in Iberia, that the nation of the Colchi and Pontus and that of the Jews, which lies between Arabia and Syria, were founded as colonies by certain immigrants from their country, Egypt, and this is the reason why it's long established institutions among these two people of circumcise their male children, the custom having been brought over from Egypt. The location mentioned by Diodorus, the vicinity of Moab. This location of Moab is very important in understanding the identification of the Moorish alliance and thus the dynamics and the history of Iberia. Moab is the origin of 3 groups, Arabs, Syrians, Berbers, and Jews that joined forces to control Moorish Spain, both italicized. All right, and let me see. It says the Moorish alliance never forgot their Moabi origin. Christian chronicles sometimes refer to the Almoravids as Moabites. There are numerous references to Moabites in the Chronica ad Fonsi. The reference are to paragraphs and the reference to Ali and Texufinos as kings of the Moabites, which seem to support the theory that this term refers to Almoravites. So Almoravites, they say it means something else, but if you start breaking down the word, it's like Moabite, hey, Almoravite in a different language, right? And so on and so on. So why am I showing you guys this is he kind of briefed this whole part 3, kind of briefed it real quick right there. I don't know if you noticed, he kind of briefed it, but he's saying that these same people that became the Moors are the same people who eventually took positions of power and became your black nobles. That's not true, guys. All these black Europeans are not the Moors that went into Spain. And it's almost like saying that people in Spain weren't already so-called black. And we're talking about a whole history way before so-called Moors invaded. There's a whole history that we've gone over, you know, with the ancient Celts and Gaul people and, you know, and this connection to Ireland, you know. We're talking about biblical, so-called biblical people, we're talking about ancient people. And its connection to the Americas, right? Its connection to the Americas, not just Africa. I just want to Africanize, like saying, oh, because that's right next to Africa in the north. Oh, it was when these people came that's when you got so-called black people in Europe. And that's this whole concept. And that was the beginning of his video, right? So far, he didn't show no sources, right? We're just talking about images, and then AI talking. And he's gonna start showing you sources, and I'm gonna show you where he got those sources from. I'm gonna show you the exact copy, the duplicate. I'm gonna show you which one's the original and which one's the duplicate. Let's keep going. Be ready to dodge the hijack as we keep going, all right?
And to some Europeans, they had an all too familiar look, that of their deity. Because of the consistent iconoclast efforts, it is difficult for most to realize the true presence of Africans as nobles in Europe. It is even more difficult to admit the role of Africans as venerated deities. But that was precisely the intended outcome of the iconoclast movement. Masquerading as an exercise to remove icons altogether, its real objective was to redefine them. And I argue that this movement never really ended. It went from the destruction of black icons as early as the 8th century AD to a new form where historians are knowingly hiding notable black presence in medieval Europe. And what they will instead focus on are exceptions that happen to reinforce the narrative that black people only had a role of servitude. There is no better example for this than the transformation of Queen Elizabeth I from her first-hand accounts to her repainted figures. In the Calendar of State Papers and Manuscripts Relating to English Affairs on page 1058, when Ambassador Giovanni Michel writes, quote, "Of this sister of hers, I must remind your serenity that after the repudiation of Queen Catherine, the present Queen's mother, she was born of Henry VIII, and of his second wife, Anne Boleyn, an Englishwoman and of noble birth, although 2 years afterwards she was beheaded for adultery. My Lady Elizabeth was born in September 1533, so she is now 23 years old.
Okay. So remember this, right? Look at this image right here.
She is a young woman whose mind is considered no less excellent than her person, although her face is comely rather than handsome, but she is tall and well-formed, with a good skin, although swarthy." End quote. And if you wondered what swarthy means in Old English, it means of dark complexion or black. And yet when we look at portraits and paintings for Elizabeth, she is depicted with the whitest of white skins, with what happens to be curly red hair. Take a note of this, as it will come to be of importance as we progress. In quote, of this sister of hers.
All right, so you guys see this image right here, right? So this is from that channel's video, Without History, right? You go to one of my videos. This is from 2 years ago, right? Swarty Queen Elizabeth and her alliance with Morocco, the original black sugar planters, Moors. All right, and you see the exact same image. Even this highlighted thing, that was me. I highlighted that when I was searching for the word Swarty through this book I was reading. The same one he's quoting right now. All right. Now, as you guys see, like everything here that he's showing, you're gonna see it. It's all from my it's all from my Queen Elizabeth video. All right, this is what she's quoting right now. All right. So, but this is an AI talking. That's what I'm saying. He got an AI talking. All right. Beauties of English and Scottish History by Roman History. It says here, right? And nowhere in this book, 1828, right? Nowhere in this book it says that anything about anybody being from Africa, right? Nobody, nowhere here, no, it says anybody being from Africa, right? So let's keep going on his video real quick. Let's go back to their video, all right?
I must remind your serenity that after the repudiation of Queen Catherine, the present Queen's mother, she was born of Henry VIII. Face is comely rather than handsome, white skins, with what happens to be curly red hair. Take a note of this, as it will come to be of importance as we progress.
So here goes the other source that I just showed, right? This is from my video, right? This is screenshots he got from my video, but he put at without. It says beauties in English, it's okay, it's all good. But where in my video did I say anything about anybody here being from Africa? Or did that source say anything from these people being from Africa? Or Queen Elizabeth being from Africa? I'm being real, like.
In yet another account of Elizabeth in the book English and Scottish History, she is described by Sir James Melvin as follows. Quote, her hair was more reddish than yellow, curled in appearance naturally. She desired to know of me what color of hair was reputed best, and whether my queen's hair or hers were best, and which of them two was the fairest. End quote. Well, it is not uncommon at all for black women to be born with curly red hair, as you can see in these many examples.
All right. Yeah, I remember that. That image looks familiar. It's all good. Like Elbay says, don't chuckle. With all respect, just show some respect for the brother. I don't know what you mean by that. I am. And I did. I left the video on. I could have just took it off. You're gonna see. I could have just took that off. I gotta say, hey man, don't show my stuff, or don't even have me talking, because you're gonna see he's gonna put me talking and everything, reading. Like literally from my videos. All right. So okay, he just showed you that girl, right? Check it out. You see? You see? So he's just grabbing my stuff and then Africanizing it. And that's the thing, man. That's not cool. That's not cool, man. That's not cool, because your whole point of your channel is without history, you're lost. But then you're also doing Just like anybody that would whitewash history, you're Pan-Africanizing history. That is a thing. That literally is a thing. They're trying to say all these people, anybody that would look like her in Europe, it has to be from Africa. That's not true. All right, but let's keep going.
Swarthy, of dark complexion with curly red hair. And again, swarthy dark complexion with curly red hair. And if you are still doubting that iconoclasm erased as many images of black nobility as they could find, here is yet another example. In the book Queen Elizabeth by Alison Weir, Sir Francis Walsingham is spoken of by the Queen as follows. Quote, Walsingham was nearing 40. He had been educated at Cambridge, Gray's Inn, and Padua, and become an MP. Later, he had come under the patronage of Cecil, who had offered him a post at court and later placed him in charge of his secret agents. Because of his swarthy complexion and black clothes, Elizabeth nicknamed Walsingham her Moor. End quote. As we have just seen, Sir Francis Walsingham was a Moor and was swarthy of complexion, but if you search for his images, this is what you get. Someone who is the farthest away from swarthy. It wasn't just England. The black Moors were swarthy dark complexion with curly red hair.
All right. So yeah, she said that. Okay, she really did say that. All right. So that's the thing, man. Like, we got, all right, you guys see that? You see how they got the Swarty highlight? That's again, that's all screenshots from my video. And again, nowhere in here is talking about anything being African. And I didn't say nothing African. And I even break it down when I'm talking in these videos. These are not Africans. So I know he heard me say that. I know they heard me say that mad times. And you see, it's more than one video. You're gonna see more than just one video. So I know they heard me show the primary sources and break it down completely specifically and detailed and saying, where is the African proof? Why are you adding the African narrative? And even though I'm saying that in these videos, the same videos they're copying and then creating their new videos and adding the African part to it, they ignore that part and say, no, they'll never know. I'll get my followers and I'll just get my people who are all Pan-Africans and I'll get 500,000 views off of the sources that this guy found. Off of the sources this guy found, I'm gonna Africanize all these sources. And so Lamine Elbey is like, why are you going at him? Leave him alone. It's not even that, man. We're correcting the false narratives. That's the whole point of being truth, right? If you're gonna speak truth, you gotta tell the whole truth. And you gotta say when you don't really know something. You can't add conjecture to stuff. You gotta say, hey, I really don't know. I'm like, how do you know these people? I don't know. Well, because everybody that's black came from Africa. That's not true. Say you don't know. That's more respectful. You know what I mean? Say you don't know. That's much more real. That's keeping it more real. You know, they where they getting that from? All right, let's hear a little bit here. Let's hear a little bit. Let's go, Kurimeo. Let him know. Cecil, who had offered him a post of court and later placed him in charge of his secret agents. Because of his swarthy complexion and black clothes, Elizabeth nicknamed Walsingham her Moor. And although she liked him and was an occasional guest at his house in Barn Elms in Surrey, she sometimes found him more than a match for her intellectually. All right. She called him her Moor. That's my Moor right there because of his swarthy complexion. Who? Sir Francis Walsingham. And again, guys, when you go into looking for Sir Francis Walsingham, whitewash images again. Sir Francis, does this look like a Moor? She called him the Moor nickname because of his swarthy complexion. It doesn't fit what they're showing us here, guys. These body snatchers, right? Whitewashed images all over the place. All these people were swarthy. Again, Elizabeth nicknamed Walsingham her Moor. Another interesting part of this book that's on page 342, they're talking about Walter Raleigh. Walter Raleigh, it was Sephardic Jewish ancestry. And he fought with his, brethren, the Huguenots in France. He helped them, it says here. He was brilliant and versatile man in his time. He would be a soldier, adventurer, explorer, inventor, scientist, historian, philosopher, poet, and scholar. And he also proved to be an eloquent orator and a competent politician and MP who had a boundless capacity for hard work. He was fearless, daring, and overpoweringly virile, being tall, dark and swarthy, with penetrating eyes and pointed beard. He had, wrote Sir Robert Mountain in his Anecdotes of Elizabeth's court, a good presence and a handsome and well-compacted person. Elizabeth was impressed by his intellectual skills, his forthright manner, and candid views. Walter Raleigh we got in our previous videos. Make sure to check those out. How he helped settle the lost colony of Roanoke. Make sure to get that in his ancestry and cousins, all Sephardic Jews. All right, but again, this source again telling us 3 famous people in history, very swarthy. So moving on real quick, we go to this book, The Life of Anne Boleyn. Remember, this is Queen Elizabeth's mom, by Philip W. Sargent, author of Cleopatra of Egypt, the Empress Josephine, etc. So we got here a couple testimonials of Anne Boleyn's appearance or looks. All right, going further down, it says an Italian critic writing of her in 1532 finds her not one of the handsomest women in the world, of middling stature, dark complexion, long neck, wide mouth, not very full bosom, eyes black and beautiful. Other references to Anne's appearances at some particular period will be found in their due place. From all that we read, we can have no doubt that she was dark, both in hair and complexion, bearing out the lines about her attributed to King Francis I. All right, he called her a brunette. And also, we got another testimony of Thomas Wyatt. It says, moderately tall, therefore, and dark with a good complexion and fine eyes. We may assume Anne Boleyn to have been in her hair among her chief attractions. Moving on page 130 of this book, we have another testimony of a person. His name is Simon Greeny. It says, Greeny had come to England early in that year, led chiefly by a desire to visit the libraries of the country, as Erasmus wrote in a letter introducing him to Lord Mountjoy. He did not confine himself to literary research. Speaking of Anne, he says to Bucer, whether she has any children by the king, I do not know. She has not any acknowledged as such. They may probably be brought up in private, which if I am not mistaken, I have heard more than once, though there are those who positively deny that the king has any intercourse with her, which in my opinion is not likely. But she is young, good-looking, of a rather dark complexion, and likely enough to have children. All right. So that's Kurimeo right there, 2 years ago. All right, going back to the same guy's video I told you, he did this is about 5 months ago that he did this video when he's talking about Queen Elizabeth and grabbing the images, you know, all these sources he's showing on his video from my video, Queen Elizabeth. It's all good, it's all good, but what's up with the Africanizing? I never said nothing about that, and I never said anything about that. So let's go back to the video, right? Continue reviewing it and correcting and reminding people to dodge the hijacks.
Someone who is the farthest away from swarthy. It wasn't just England. The Black Moors were everywhere in Europe, and they showed up in very surprising areas. In the 10th century in Scotland, the king was called Dub Mac Mael Coluim. This is beyond interesting because the old Scottish meaning of dub is black, as you can see from this old dictionary, and in old Wikipedia depictions of the man he was shown as follows. But this has since been replaced. If you read on, you'll see that he was called the Black.
All right, so Dub, huh? Dub and Mike Dub, that looks so familiar to me, man. That looks so familiar to me, man. Hold on, guys. I hate the way this video player
who had offered him a post.
It doesn't let me go to the spot that I really want.
As you can see from this old dictionary.
All right, so you guys see this image right here. We got Dorwood, C. Dermond for derivative. It says deer, Dublin, dub, black. It's a dub black, a black person, right? Dove and dub is black. Like if you guys remember, we've broken this down. Of course we have, right? That image looks so familiar to me. All right. That image looks so familiar to me. All right, let's see. Let's see, is it this one? So we got these videos from 4 years ago, Swarty Europe and its Aboriginal inhabitants. This is from my channel right here. Let's see. I think I have that somewhere. We can get it from we get the drop from the original source, right? Let's see. There we go. There we go. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Yeah, appreciate you guys tuning in. Again, we're just trying to remind people to dodge the hijack because we didn't say none of that.
For the Origin by Thomas G. Gentry.
Hold on, Kurimeo. Give him the source.
Eurabatis. And Odysseus honored him above his other comrades because he was like-minded with himself. More iconoclasm. But they're showing the Swarti, right? Saint Columba. Saint Columba. Columba. Columbus. Saint Columba.
Let them know, Kurimeo. Saint Columba.
All right. And what does it say here? Family names from the Irish, Anglo-Saxon, Anglo-Norman, and Scotch, considered in relations to their etymology, with brief remarks of the history and languages, peoples to whom we are indebted for their origin by Thomas G. Gentry. This is from 1892. This guy is author of Life Histories of Birds of Assyrian, Pennsylvania, The House of Sparrow, Notes and Eggs on Bird. All right, so he's a bird specialist, but he also does this on the side.
All right, so that's the source right here. This is the screenshot that, again, he was just showing. I just want to bring you back to the video. That's his video. Again, this is what he's showing.
And in old Wikipedia.
Right? Talking about Wikipedia. You see? What you mean Wikipedia, man? Hold up. What you mean Wikipedia, man? All right. This is where he's getting this from.
Now it says here, Dever, originally Duber, from Dub, which means black. Dub, black. Like Dublin, the city of Dublin is the city of black. Dub, man, a dark complexioned man. Duibur, Dub, a dark complexioned man. Deegan. All right. And it says here, Deflin, Dub, black, Lynn, marsh, or swamp. Just like moor also means swamp, a wasteland. That's another definition for moor. Just like Dub also means a marsh, because you know what? A lot of these dark-skinned people were living along marshes, and it was becoming associated to them as well. So the word meant a lot more than just meaning a wasteland or a marsh. All right. Dub, and we're gonna get to that either today or tomorrow. So Dub, black, Lynn, and marsh swamp. Said Dub, Duffy. Duffy is also like Dub, pronounced Dub or Dupe or black. Dub, black, an individual, a black person, a black dub. All right.
All right, you guys see the image, right? And that's what he's showing over here. Okay. He said something about Wikipedia. I don't know. He didn't really show the source, but again, where does it say anything about these people being African? We're talking about the last names, and we're talking about a lot of these, you know, we read the book Ancient and Modern Britons, when we're talking about the ancient Picts, when we're talking about the ancient Basque. Like, these are dark, so-called black folks too. So-called black, as it says here, Dub, black. Yeah, Dub, a black person. Yeah, we're not talking about pale skin. We're talking about actual Negro people. These people were there before the Moors arrived. So this is why I'm saying he's mixing up the whole history, and he's trying to say these are Moors. He's trying to say these people are being called black and all that because they're Moors, because they came in the Moorish invasion, and that's wrong. That is wrong history. And again, without history, you're able to be fooled like that. When you don't have history, without history, like the name of the channel, like when you don't have history, you're able to be like, just anybody can say anything and put so many things together in front of you and show you these three little screenshots right here, which is again coming from my video. They didn't show you the whole source. No, nowhere in this book telling you that these are African people. Nowhere in this book, anthropological book, historical book, is telling you that any of these people are, African people. All right. So let's go back to the video.
Depictions of the man he was shown as follows. But this has since been replaced. If you read on, you'll see that he was called the Black. Further to this,
So what he was saying, okay. Oh man, I don't know if we can get that. There we go.
the author confirms the existence of legends of Scotland. But this has since been replaced.
So he got dubbed King of Scotland, right? He literally said in the beginning that this used to be in Wikipedia and now it's not. How does he know that? Because literally, that's literally what I was telling you 4 years ago, right? About that same image. All right, hold on. I'm gonna show you. We're gonna keep going with Kurimeo, right?
Dougal or Douglas, right? Douglas, right? Douglas from black, dark, glass, green, gray, dark green, dark gray. Dougal. So Douglas means black too. Douglas. Dougal from dub, black, gal, stranger, a black stranger. Dougal's from the same roots. All right. And it says here, dub. We already know what? The black. Black. King of Scotland. Black. What do they mean? Black. Nobody's named Black. His name was Dub Mac Male Colum, or the Black Mac Male Colum.
Let's not forget the movie that the brother played in called King of Scotland, that was played by Forrest Whitaker. You remember?
Yeah, the new King of Scotland, or something like that.
Yeah, which was played by Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah.
In the movie, he's an African king, but he's called the King of Scotland because of his relation with family members from Scotland.
Exactly. There you go. Subliminal Hollywood. You already know the Hollywood.
So I had a guest on that day. This was a live video we did 4 years ago, right? So I had a guest on that day. He was like kind of doing side commentary.
Because it's reality dub King of Scotland. Black King of Scotland. Dub Mac Male. What? Dub Mac Male Coulomb. What? Sometimes anglicized as Duff Mac Malcolm. Called then the Vehement, the Niger. The Black was king of Alba. He was son of Malcolm I and succeeded to the throne when Indulf was killed. Well, we already know Malcolm. What kind of name that is, right? Son of Malcolm. All right, and he was, a known so-called Black Scottish king. Right. This is his genealogy. You see, like, he's actually a real person in history, And this picture is not even around anymore. They used to have this in Wikipedia. They took it down, but this was a representation that were, I think, making fun of him or something in this book. And that time they did it.
All right, so right away I said, yeah, this is something I got off Wikipedia. They don't even have it up anymore. I had got that before they took it down. They don't have this anymore when you go to Wikipedia, this image. And that's exactly what the guy was saying. He took he like even copying what I'm saying right here in his video. All right, this is where he got the image because he didn't know that. He wouldn't even known that if I didn't show them this image. I haven't have a screenshot of it. All right, let's continue.
If you read on, you'll see that he was called the Black. Further to this, in the book The Mystery of Legends of Scotland, the author confirms the existence of purely black people. We see one of them in the person of Kenneth the Niger. During the 10th century, Kenneth the Niger ruled over 3 provinces in Scotland. The archaeologist and writer David McRitchie declared that the Moors dominated Scotland as late as the time of the Saxon kings. So late as the 10th century, 3 of the provinces of Scotland were wholly black, and the supreme ruler of these were the Black Kings of Scotland. You will also note that Scottish royalty was intimately related with English royalty through various bloodlines. On the
All right, so but that doesn't mean they were Africans or that all these people are so-called black because they came in with the Moors invasion. This is what I'm trying to explain. But this is what he's insinuating throughout this video. Okay.
European continent, we continue to find influential black figures throughout the Middle Ages. In 16th century Italy, we find the medallion depicting an unidentified European king. In 12th century Italy, Moorish philosopher Ibn Rushd, here depicted. And the Black Moors didn't just become kings and queens in Europe, they also show up as rulers of the Byzantine Empire in multiple instances. Like Nikephoros II Phocas, emperor of Byzantium from 912 to 969, he is described in the Relatio of Luitprand of Cremona as, quote, very bristly through the length and thickness of his hair, in color an Ethiopian, one whom it would not be pleasant to meet in the middle of the night, end quote. And yet this is his depiction, really nothing like the man. Here again we see the iconoclast at work, but where they changed some icons they could not get all the references. John II Komnenos, viewed by many as one of the greatest emperors of Byzantium who ruled from 1118 to 1143, described as, quote, a man of medium height, with black hair and black skin, and for this reason he is still called the Moor. End quote. The reference can be found in William of Tyre Chronicon 1523. As you can see again, his post-iconoclast depictions look nothing like the written first-hand accounts. So too goes the description of his son, who followed him on the throne, Manuel Wer Komnenos, Emperor of Byzantium. He was described by his contemporary Niketas Choniates as follows, quote, a certain black-skinned Ethiopian. They acclaimed him Emperor of the Romans and led him about in procession with splendid crown on his head, end quote. But unlike his father, his image, although hard to find, depicts him as shown. And the list goes on. Leszek II, the Black of Poland, 13th century. Zawisza the Black, the most famous Polish knight. Augustus, the strong king of Poland. The famous Queen Charlotte, with her Moorish Portuguese antecedents. Queen Philippa of Hainaut, who was born in 1310 in Valenciennes in France, who had black Moorish ancestry. She married Edward of York, Alexandre Dumas, the famous author of The Three Musketeers, George Bridgetower, the music composer who rivaled with Beethoven, Jacobus Capitine, the famous theologian, and countless knights, judges, dukes, duchesses, viscounts, and various other noble titles.
So, right away, we don't disagree that there was black European, all these people were so-called black, but the whole point of him saying they had Moorish this, Moorish that, he's literally just meaning black. Like Moorish is just mean Negro. He's just another word he's using for Negro, black. And he's trying to Africanize the people by saying Moorish because his whole Moorish concept is that they came from Africa. And this is a African people and Africa this, Africa that. That's, not at all. He's mixing a lot of these people together, like the Polish guy, then the Byzantine people, and this is all separate peoples, individuals, and histories you have to get to know. All right. One thing I just want to go ahead into my video right here, real quick. Okay. So first of all, he showed this image, right, of the Madonna. You see where he got it from too. Man, so this is in my part 2, Swarte Europe and its original inhabitants from 4 years ago. All right, we're gonna get it like it's the first time. All right.
And somebody put me onto it, and they said, and definitely, this is not a boy; it's a daughter. It's a woman. Instances of Negroes, the same as the images of Buddha in India. This is very striking when compared with the proofs which I have given in my Celtic Druid chapter 2 section. All right, he's convinced. And now we're going to move into this book. All right, this is a very good book. We're going to get into this book. I've been holding it for a while, but you got to take your time with this info sometimes, because a lot of the time won't be understood if it comes out wrong or if it comes out before certain information. right? And so I think we're ready for this. You know, we're getting to, you know, we've been able to overstand ourselves here, you know, and then now we gotta overstand, you know, if you know into history, if you like, if you want to, it's your choice. But if
I
you're
don't
into
know.
history, then we can start understanding the other nations, right, and the other peoples, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
get an origin of them and everything, and truly understand, you know, when we say Asians and Europeans and Africans and this and that, what they really mean, and you know. So this book is called Ancient and Modern Britons, a retrospect. This is from volume 1. All right. And it says here Thurman and Davis and Huxley Busk, Virchow, Tubino, and others have proved the existence in Europe of a Neolithic race, small of stature, with long or oval skulls, and accustomed to bury their dead in tombs. Their remains have been found in Belgium and France and Britain, Germany and Denmark, as well as in Spain, but they bear a closer resemblance to the Basques than to any other living people. This Neolithic race has consequently been identified with the Basques and the Iberians, and extreme exponents of the theory do not hesitate to speak of the Iberian ancestors of the people of England, recognizing the racial characteristics in the small, swarthy Welshman, the small dark Highlander, and the black Celts to the west of the Shannon, as well as in the typical inhabitants of Aquitania and Brittany.
All right. So again, a lot of these people not to do with Moors. So we're talking about swarthy Welshmen, talking about dark Highlanders, right? Scottish Highlanders had nothing to do with the Moors invading. The black Celts and Moors are supposed to be different groups, right? Not supposed to be the same, right? So there's already so-called black folks in Europe is what I'm trying to explain to you. And I've broken this down. Again, this is a 5-hour video, 5 and 40 minutes. This is part 2. Part 1 was 3 hours. That's 8 hours, right? Part 3 is 2 hours. That's 10 hours. 10 hours, right? And you trying to fit, you know, homeboy's trying to fit all that into 30 minutes and then try to Africanize it. You know, that's what I'm saying. Like, you got to get specific. You got to have a lot of details. History is complex, guys. It's not generalized. History, you can't generalize. You can't be biased with history. History is not biased or generalized. But let's hear what you got to say some more.
So much so that Europeans started incorporating elements of the black phenotype into their cultural rituals. When one takes a look at the enduring cultural elements that were started in medieval Europe, some interesting practices emerge. The first one being the wearing of the wig. The practice started in the courtroom, and historical texts show that, until the 17th century, lawyers were expected to appear in court with clean, short hair and beards. Wigs made their first appearance in a courtroom purely and simply because that's what was being worn outside it. The reign of Charles II, 1660 to 1685, made wigs essential wear for polite society. So then, who was the general population trying to imitate? They were trying to imitate the king, Charles II. Charles II, 1630 to 85, otherwise known as the Merry Monarch, was a gargantuan baby. At 4 months he already looked, his mother complained, like a 1-year-old. From the age of 12 he took part in English Civil War battles and was described as a tall black man in parliamentary wanted posters. By now you know the drill. If Charles II was described as a tall black man, why would he be depicted as such on his painting shown in Wikipedia? Nevertheless, the imitation of his natural hair and that of traditional black nobility started to influence the very aspects of European culture. In these pictures we can even see how the medieval wigs imitate Kemetic hairstyles, even down to how the curly hair rests on the shoulders. So here it is important to ask, if these wigs were not made to mimic or copy African hairstyle, whose hair were they imitating? Surely not the natural European hairstyle, as the tight curly nature of the wigs cannot be found in that population. And there is only one people on earth with this type of kinky hair, and it is the black African. As the
All right, so you know that's what I'm saying, guys. There's only one people in the world with this type of hair, and that's the black African. And that's not true. Again, We showed the Andaman Islanders, right? We shown the Andaman Islanders not even from Africa. Southeast Asia. We're talking about people had so-called kinky hair, as you call it, woolly hair in Americas, ancient America. We've shown that. Okay, we know that. Ancient Europe most definitely had people with probably woolly, kinky hair too. So this is what I'm saying. But it's a good point. Yes, they're trying to imitate that with the wigs. We agree with that. But that's what I'm saying. You can prove that part. That's obvious. That's logical. It's it's funny how for so many years we didn't see something so logical. Yeah, you're explaining something very logical. We can see that now. But that doesn't mean that they're from Africa.
The YouTube channel straight up said, if they could choose any type of hairstyle, why would they choose these particular African hairstyles in so many instances, and especially in royalty and high society? Another Black in History channel gem. Along with the already mentioned The Debunker and Mr. Theory on X, do check them out. But women of medieval and late medieval Europe also copied another defining feature of Black women. One feature that was, in recent time, denied or mocked, but that has become so sought after today that women are now paying large sums of money to imitate and obtain: the large posterior. And in Europe, they went as far as creating appendages such as the bustle to specifically amplify the woman's posterior. The sole purpose of the device was to give European women the appearance of having a larger behind, just to give you an idea of how popular this body augmentation procedure has become. In 2020, 397,000 women underwent butt lift procedures. And that's not counting the large number of women who spend countless hours in the gym to gain more mass in that specific area. I strongly suspect that lipstick was also invented for the same reasons. That is, to imitate the Black woman's natural luscious lips. This is something I will look into later. This doesn't mean that Black women are more beautiful than their counterparts, or vice versa. It just shows that Black women in positions of power influenced medieval European society to a point where their features were associated with beauty and power, and were thus imitated. In the same way that the reverse is now becoming true for many Black women who have for some time tried to imitate the hairstyle of white women. I strongly suspect that lipstick was also invented for the same reasons, that is, to imitate the Black woman's natural luscious lips. This is something I will look into later. When Benjamin Franklin of all people said the following, then we must understand that the situation we have been portrayed by mainstream historians is at least inaccurate and at worst dishonest, and I quote, "Why should the Palatine Boers Germans be suffered to swarm into our settlements, and by herding together establish their language and manners to the exclusion of ours? Why should Pennsylvania, founded by the English, become a colony of aliens, who will shortly be so numerous as to Germanize us instead of our Anglifying them, and will never adopt our language or customs any more than they can acquire our complexion?" Which leads me to add one remark, that the number of purely white people in the world is proportionally very small. All Africa is black or tawny. Asia chiefly tawny. America, exclusive of the newcomers, wholly so. And in Europe, the Spaniards, Italians, French, Russians, and Swedes are generally of what we call a swarthy complexion, as are the Germans also, the Saxons only excepted, who with the English make the principal body of white people on the face of the earth. End quote. There is one part of this Franklin quote that is often left out or ignored, and that can only be found in select books. It is that when Benjamin Franklin wrote this essay in 1751, the black German king George II is sitting on the throne of England. But for now, one must be thinking, if there were so many black people in Europe, where did they all go? And this next section gives us a good clue of what happened.
Where did they all go? Let's see what he says about where did they all go. He's going to start talking about the Jacobites, one example, you know. So real quick, just before that, just remind you, there's another video I got, the Black Jacobites, John McKee. He's going to mention again, description of the Jacobites complexion from a book, 1733. This is from 4 years ago. This video I got, and he just quoted Benjamin Franklin, right? He just quoted this book exactly right here, Observations Concerning the Increase of Mankind, People of Countries, right? By Benjamin Franklin, 1750s. Okay. Let me just show you guys. Published in Boston, 1755, and this is what he was quoting, right? that all of Europe, Spanish, Italians, French, Russians, and Swedes are generally what we call swarthy complexion. Oh, where he getting all this from? Oh, he's learning. At least he's learning. He's picking it up. All right, he's picking it up. Let's see. Let's go back to but yeah, he just wanna be biased though. He just wanna keep at it, stick to what his beliefs, you know. All right, so let's see what happened to all these black Europeans. Let's see what he says.
It wasn't just one event that reduced the number of black Europeans to such low levels. It was the compounding effect of multiple trends: the Reconquista, the Inquisition, the forced exodus, and the fleeing of the Jacobites. After the invasion of the Iberian Peninsula by the predominantly black Moors, Europe rebelled against Islam, the new religion brought in by the Africans and the Arabs, the Reconquista. And so, from the 8th century to the 15th century, war and cultural reversal had become the trend. And it is during this period that the brutal inquisitions took place. Their aim was to root out and kill Jews or Protestant converts. During this period, being suspected of being a Jew or a Protestant would be enough to get someone executed. And it is important here to note that in an effort to integrate into European society during the Reconquista, many previously Muslim blacks had converted to Judaism and the Protestant faith, both religions that they found more conservative and thus more compatible with their old Islamic faith. The Spanish Inquisition, established in 1478, was aimed at consolidating the Catholic Church's power by targeting heretics, among whom were conversos, Jews who had converted to Christianity, and Moriscos, Muslims who had been baptized as Christians.
All right, so real quick, guys. Again, you know, so he's saying there's no more black Europeans because of the Inquisition, right? So first of all, the Inquisition was Catholics, right? Catholics against people who were non-Catholic, not whites versus blacks. First of all, this is what I'm trying to say. This is a lot of missing context and misconception and very yeah, Pan-Africanish kind of view on it, you know. So there was black Catholics. The Jacobites literally were Catholics. They were being sent to the colonies by Protestants. Oliver Cromwell and these people were Protestants. So there was a time when the Protestants were sending a lot of Catholics over, and there was a time when the Catholics were sending a lot of Protestants or Sephardic Jews, Moors, all right? Now you guys know we have a lot of videos, you know, on the Sephardic Jews on my channel. Just for example, you know, more Sephardic servants, this one right here. You know, I have so many, you know, but you know, I try to search it up, but they ain't trying to give it to me. They ain't trying to give it to me. Yeah, they ain't trying to give it to me at all. Wow, I just realized that, and I got the tags in my videos. Wow, I got so many videos, but only that one popped up. That's all right. Only this one popped up. But you know, like he's leaving out all the black Catholics. He's leaving out like all the Irish slaves and the Puritan slaves and all these Huguenots and so many things we've gone over, right? So many different peoples, you know, prisoners of war, colonists, you know, indentured servants, right? Indentured servants.
The Inquisition employed brutal methods, including torture, to extract confessions and enforce orthodoxy within the Spanish kingdom. During this period, many Jews declared their conversion to Christianity to escape persecution, but these conversos remained targets of suspicion and violence, leading to widespread fear and eventual expulsion. In 1492, the Catholic monarchs Ferdinand and Isabella issued an edict that forced Jews to either convert to Christianity or leave Spain. This expulsion had a catastrophic impact on the Jewish community, stripping many of their possessions and forcing them into exile. Many of these Jews were Moors that had converted to Judaism to escape persecution. The Inquisition also targeted the Moriscos, baptized Muslims, who were expelled in the early 17th century, further emphasizing the Inquisition's role in religious and ethnic cleansing. But many of the blacks from Ireland to Spain chose exile to the new land, especially islands such as Jamaica.
All right, so that's definitely a book I've shown right here. When's the Black Irish of Jamaica that we've read in my Black Irish videos, guys. And See, this is what I'm saying. Now he's saying all these black Irish or whatever are supposed to be Moors. They're only Moors because of the Catholic Inquisition. That's not true, guys. A lot of these were black Irish, black Catholic Irish. Not all of them were Christian or Protestants or Sephardic Jews or stuff. So it's a whole missing context in this. But yeah, we get what you're saying. That part of it was a lot of these black Europeans did get relocated during the time they were getting their undesirables, getting rid of their undesirables from Europe. Yeah. A lot of those undesirables were the black Europeans. Okay. If again you're new to my channel, we got a whole playlist called The Real Slave Trade. Check out part 2, which is the European enslaved. It says Europeans enslaved and labeled as whites, Negro, and Africans in history. Yeah. Check that out. Check that out. Go back to the video, right? Breaking it down.
In the book Origin of the Anglo-Saxon Race, the author clearly shows that from the late 8th century, before the
That's from my video right there. That screenshot and all this right here.
arrival of the Vikings whom they fought, a great majority of the inhabitants of Scotland and Ireland were black, and they are clearly spoken about in historical descriptions, but also in their names. Black, Blackman, Blackman, Blake, Seward, from Swarthy, Stewart, Sewart, and others. It is these black people who centuries later, though in fewer numbers, became the Jacobites, the supporters of the Black King James, also known as Jacobus. These Jacobites were exported in mass to the new land in the Americas, as it shows here in the book Jacobites' Gleanings, the Transportation in 1745 by J. Macbeth Forbes. It is in short a passenger manifest of the Jacobites that were taken to Antigua, and when we say they were taken, it means they were forced into exile to the islands. What is interesting here is that both their names and their physical description are given, and as you can see, the great majority are black. William Blake, black curly hair. Douglas Campbell, brown complexion. Remember that Dougal and Doug from Old English means black. So many who carry that name come from old black families. Alex Catanach, black, ruddy, and healthy. And it's not just the top of the list, further down John Kennedy, black. Angus McIntosh, black, very strong. And the list goes on.
All right. You all guys already know who showed that, like, and this again, not about competition. I'm just trying to tell you, you know, people grabbing information, you know, they grab what they like, right? They grab what they like and they add their conjectures and narratives, their false narratives, and kind of doing just as bad as people who be whitewashing history, right? Just as bad as people who whitewashing history and generalizing when you are saying all these people are now so-called Africans. Now you're saying all these Jacobites. Now what are you trying to say? That all these Jacobites are your African Moors? You make no sense. He just contradicted himself. I'm sorry to say that. I'm sorry to say that, right? So we got the Jacobite Gleamans, right? From Harvard, right? This is a video I did four years ago, Swart to Europe, and again, part 2, right? The Jacobite Gleanings, and we're showing, right? Jacobite Gleanings. Oh yeah, that screenshot that he's showing in his video, this is all from my video right here. And nothing in this video saying that these people are from Africa. And the Jacobites were actually Catholics. Most Jacobites were actually Catholics. You guys didn't know that? Did anybody in the audience know that? Like, right? So how does this have the same to do with the Catholic Inquisition? You definitely don't make sense right here. It has nothing to do with the Catholic Inquisition. This is actually Oliver Cromwell and the Protestants who are deporting the Catholics at this point in history, and these Jacobites, right? Where he's saying are being described, right? As so-called black, brown complexion, right? And so now it's an exact list and description of 150 rebels. Let me just go ahead and close this and zoom in. All right, zoom in a little bit more. Here we go. An exact list and description of 150 rebel prisoners shipped at Liverpool on board the veteran John Rickey, master for the Leeward Islands, which were taken near Antigua the 28th June last by the diamond privateer Paul Marcelli,
commander and carried into Martinico the 30th of June of 1747. All right. What are we going to see here? The passenger list of all these prisoners, Jacobites. Now let's see. It says name, age, profession, the county, the statute, remarks. So any other thing, right? And number one, just for example, we're going to start with number one. It says Robert Adam, 18. He was 18. He was a laborer. County, he's from Sterling. He was 5 feet 1 inch, very short. He's brown. He's brown, smooth face, right? He's brown. All right, he's brown. William Bell, 46 Weaver, Berwick, 5'4". He's black with curled hair. He's strong made. All right. Douglas Dougal or Dougal, we already know about Dougal. Dougal Campbell, servant, Lochaber, 5'4". He's also brown complexion, well made and ruddy, brown complexion.
All right, you guys see, so that's the list of the Jacobites being listed as so-called black people, right? Now, Daisy in the chat says, did he give you any kind of love or, hey, I found it over here? Daisy, I thought I saw you in the beginning of the video. I explained already. He shouted me out right from the beginning. I told you he put my name in the description and he said my name at the end, but that's not the point. The point is there's slick people in the world. They'll do that so I don't take the video down, Daisy. Because I wasn't down with that whole African stuff you're adding. You're using my sources. You know you're watching. These are so many videos. I'm trying to show you my Queen Elizabeth, my Swati Euro videos, my Morris Drew Ali videos. There's a lot of videos he's breaking down that he's watching. He's taking screenshots from, right? So I know he heard me say these are not Africans, and I'm showing you guys, and I want you guys to learn, open up your minds. We got to get out of those, out of our beliefs. I'm trying to help people. I'm not coming at people in my videos, right? So the whole point of him grabbing all this stuff and then trying to mix up the history for somebody who's watching his videos just because they're into the whole Pan-African stuff, they're not learning anything really. They're getting stuck in, they're still having a Pan-African worldview of things and generalizing. They're not really growing and when it comes to history, like you're not really building. You're saying the same things over and over. And we were just helping people realize something big and new, and now you're trying to make it African again. You're trying to Africanize the research we found again. Here's the screenshot. Again, this is all from my video right here that he's showing.
Although the vast majority of black people who arrived in America came directly from Africa, European blacks,
You see, so even though the majority of black people came from Africa, you see, European blacks, I told you, he's a Pan-African. He's trying to be cool. Like some people are just slick like that. It's all good. We all slick. We all slick. All right. We're doing a review, fair use of your video you did, and you wish you used a lot of my research. So okay, and then you Africanized it. So we're just helping remind people of the correct context here. None of these people in Europe have been proven. All these black Europeans have not been proven to be from Africa. In fact, science has proven that the indigenous people of Europe are actually so-called black or Negro, dark complexion people, whatever you want to call them. So yeah, and that whole thing about people, the majority of black Americans coming from Africa, that's been debunked. That's been debunked. All right. If you're new to the channel, catch up. A lot of research in the last 8 years, over 1,000 presentations. That's what I'm saying. This video he did 5 months ago. He did this video 5 months ago. So, and I know he's watching the video. So why ain't you opening your mind, and why you still grabbing, and especially when you're grabbing my sources and then you're Africanizing it. It's all good. It's not my sources, actually. I don't own these sources, but you're going into my videos and grabbing. You could have found the book yourself, but you just rather take the screenshots, right? And grab some of the stuff and just Africanize and Moorish everything, Moorish size, Moorish size and Africanize everything. And when you're showing Jacobites who were Catholics, so make it make sense. All right, and Americans are not from Africa. We already exposed the false West African slave trade to America. Again, for people who might have a problem with what I'm saying, I challenge you, not challenge you, but I I implore you to go ahead and watch this series right here I got, The Real Slave Trade. Check out all these parts, and then if you want, keep going and watch all the parts. You might understand something by the time you're done with all these videos. And maybe you won't be Africanizing it like he shouldn't be after so many videos he's watched in my channel. He or she, because I don't know their sex. And I was fooled. I told you guys, I was fooled. I actually thought it was the guy speaking in the beginning of the video, the so-called white Englishman who has an English accent. I thought that was his channel. I got fooled. That's why I didn't really care. I'm like, oh, well, I expect that. I kind of expect white people to like just naively do that. But when I see somebody who's a Pan-African, because I know the channel, I can tell now the channel is very Pan-Africanish. You know, he just called you guys all Africans just now on this video just now. He just said all you guys are African, right? I see it was intentional to do what he did and then shut me out in the point where like maybe he won't get mad if I just shut him out. All right, I got some subscribers, maybe. I don't know. I can't tell if I got subscribers off of him, but I know he got a lot of views off of it. And he might have got a lot of subscribers off of it. I know he got a lot of views because a lot of people and the perspective he's showing is that somebody might come say, hey, he just proved Queen Elizabeth was African. He just proved Queen Elizabeth was African and the Jacobites were African. Somebody who's not really, you know, not have no context and just listen biasly and being misinformed and just like in generalizing, like, because that's literally what he's trying to say and this is towards the end of the video, right? So like, well, kind of. So let's continue with the video. Let's go. I just wanted to go ahead and say that, right? We're doing review, we're blogging, since you wanted to use me and give me a shout out. Okay, here we are 5 months later responding.
Smaller in number comparatively, were forced or chose exile over persecution to the new land. And it is these forces, Reconquista, Inquisition, forced exile, that decimated the large number of blacks in Europe, and their traces were then systematically removed from all icons and representation of influence, creating an illusion of an exclusively European medieval history. One where the Afro-descendant can no longer see himself or herself in the nobility of days past. But equally as damaging, they have created a circle of people who have been born into this lie, have never had the time nor the courage to question it, and who now use it as a justification for ethnic supremacy. And yet,
So even though he's saying people being born under a lie and all this other stuff, like we agree with all this stuff, but you're kind of doing the same thing, man. You're kind of like keeping people in a lie. The same people that you're saying are lying to you is the same people saying that you came out of Africa. Don't you understand that? Same people who you're saying are lying to you or are creating this supremacy in history. Same people who created the out of Africa Darwinism theories. Ape man, they want to think you evolved from ape man. That's the whole point of out of Africa. And I'm not saying that Africans are ape. I'm just saying that's what they use. Darwinism is basically that people evolved from apes and that was in Africa. And that's why that's the home of all humans. That's literally out of Africa theory. So he's saying some good stuff here at the end a little bit, you know, oh yeah, he's right, you know, he's righteous and stuff. But look what you're doing. You just Africanized the whole research we've been doing in the last 8 years. You just Africanized it. And you just called all Americans African. You just ignored all my other videos about Black Indians, right? Because he knows I got those videos. He's giving me a shout out. He said in the beginning that I'm a supporter, right? Let me go back. I'm not making this up, guys, right? Like, again, this is a screenshot from my video about Queen Elizabeth, right? Elizabeth suppressed primary counts, black nobility without history. 200,000 subscribers almost. He got almost 500,000 views on this video. And he said, huge thanks to these amazing researchers and supporters. Kurimeo. I'm a supporter, huh? I'm a supporter, huh? I don't, honestly, I'm gonna be real with you because I gotta be a real person. I don't support this. I don't support people trying to Africanize history and being biased and having a Pan-African view on history, very biasly like that. And after we actually do work hard in trying to correct the narratives and find these sources, I work hard to find these sources and present these videos, which are hours and hours long, not just one source. I'm showing different sources of the same thing. So to try to convince you, which I don't really shouldn't have to try to convince you, because I see you, a lot of you are just stuck in beliefs. You just want to be stuck on what you believe in. Like this person who, you know, maybe he naively he thought he's doing something good, and but honestly, there's no way you, if you watch the videos completely, my videos, that you still be trying to say these are all Africans, and you're grabbing these screenshots from the videos. You're not even paying attention. Just that's, to me, is like a disrespect almost a little bit. But at the same time, you say a shout out to this great, amazing researcher, amazing researcher. You're saying I'm amazing, but then you're saying African. I'm not saying African. I'm telling you the opposite. And you're saying I'm an amazing researcher. I'm telling you, yo, we already debunked the out of Africa theories, and you just said all Americans are from Africa. So make it make sense. To me, that's not being authentic, honestly, guys. I'm just trying to, that's why I'm doing this, right? Like, what's up? Let's hear what you got to say some more.
Yet, as history shows us, nothing could be further from the truth. And that once again, as they did in 9500 BC when the black Natufians shared the secret of agriculture with all, as they did in from 3000 BC to 500 BC when they taught the Greeks everything they know, the Africans, this time wearing turbans, gave to the struggling Europeans the seeds of civilization once more.
So again, now he's saying the Moors, he's back to the Moors, and now the Moors taught everybody everything. Like these ancient people never built anything, no mounds or no structures or anything, right? No Stonehenge or no things like that, right? So yeah, it's very biased. Like it's like Pan-Africanism, and also more science, a little bit biased, like too. So
And for this, as we shall see in this next section, they were once more venerated as deities. In the book Russian Icons by Father Vladimir Ivanov, recently rediscovered, we find the most interesting collection of Christian icons. It is of high interest for two reasons. Number one, it depicts the various Christian icons as black. And number two, this is not found in Western Europe, but well in Eastern Europe and Russia. This means that black people were venerated as deities from Spain to France, Italy, Germany, and all the way to Russia. In some, all over Europe. There are at least 500 black Madonnas in Europe, not counting the ones hidden in the Vatican, 128 in France alone. And you need to remember that these icons survived multiple waves of iconoclasm. This means that in the past, they would have been ubiquitous throughout Europe, before the great artists like Michelangelo and Leonardo were commissioned to start painting the classic Europeanized face of Jesus that we know today. So then, as always, if we ask the critical questions, if the mainstream historical narrative is true, and that black people have never achieved anything of note in history, why then were they depicted and venerated all over Europe? Even more intriguing, what were black people doing in so many depictions, descriptions, sculptures, and plays in Europe at all? For those who have been listening, it is simply because they were present in such numbers, and it yielded such influence that even the planned erasure and systematic destruction of the icon survived from Western Europe to Eastern Europe, from Germany to Italy. This is a statue of Philip II of Spain. Philip was no ordinary man. His father was Charles V, Holy Roman Emperor.
Charles V, Holy Roman Emperor. Where I wonder where he got this image from. From the local museum, right? He's gonna show the. There you go. Yeah.
In this portrait, we have a count depicting Christian, John George, and Augustus. Christian was a Scandinavian monarch. We have John George, Elector of Saxony. The last one to the right is Augustus, also Elector of Saxony. Their names are engraved on the coin, as you can see.
A description of the Western.
So look, guys, and this part of his video, he literally got me talking. Listen, this is me. This is just from his video. I'm talking about this guy right here. All right. Without history, right? This channel right here, without history, right? That video that he got, right? No way. This one right here, Elizabeth, suppress history, right? Now you're gonna hear it. That's the video we're watching. We've been breaking down. Now this is me talking on the video. He literally got me talking and my Swarty video from 4 years ago, showing my notepad, right? My notepad, right? You see my iCloud notepad, notes, video ideas. I still got that notepad. I still got that notepad. Check it out. I'm gonna show you guys. The notepad has grown, you know. So look, all cloud notes, completed video ideas down here. Look, I got way more video ideas now. You see all the stuff I'm working on? And this is just on this notepad. Then I got bookmarks and I got other notes I got in other places. And all my browsers got different bookmarks, like, man. So, you know, this is the thing that he's been screenshotting. All right. This is what he's been screenshotting. All right. So now he actually has me talking. He probably just like, you know what, I'm gonna just let him talk here.
Islands of Scotland
This is
contain a
from his
full account
video.
of their situation.
Remember, this is his video from his channel. He got me talking, right? So he had mostly AI talking. Literally, he had AI talking, and now he got me. And nowhere in the video did the person talk himself.
Says the inhabitants of this isle are generally well proportioned, and their complexion is for most part black. And this is a crest, right? This is an example. I threw this in there. This is the coat of arms of Ivy William, 1485. Ivy family. Same book, a description of the western islands of Scotland. And we're talking about the Isle of Arran, or the island of Arran. It says the inhabitants of this isle are well proportioned, generally brown, and some of black complexion. They enjoy a good state of health and have a genius for all callings or employ.
All right. You guys see that? I'm gonna show you. So from his channel, right? Here you go. This is from his channel, right? Without history.
And some of black complexion. They enjoy a good state of health and have a genius for all callings or employ.
All right, that's me talking. That's on his channel. That's me talking. All right. And I said, you know, that's cool, I guess, because he gave me a little shout out, but nah, it's not cool that you Africanized it, everything. No. But we're gonna get to some very important parts of the book. All right, so we're gonna begin with this. So this is me again from my other video, right? The Black Jacobites, where I got John McKee, the book of John McKee, who was a spy of the Protestants, right? What they hired him to go spy on the Jacobites, and he wrote about what they look like. So this is what I'm showing. The person right here, which he's describing, is his name is Charles, known as the Duke of Somerset, master of the horse, of the ancient family of Seymour, who made so great a figure in the reign of Edward VI. I remember these are the people he's spying on. So these are the Jacobites. All right, we're gonna go ahead, all right, and get to this part of the book where it describes what he looks like. It says he is of middle stature, well shaped, and very black complexion. Very black complexion. A lover of music and poetry, of good judgment, but reason, of great hesitation in his speech. Once expression, he is about 42 years old. All right, so that's when he stops using my voice and he's gonna put in the AI voice again. All right, but I was just showing you, he even used my clips of my, so as you guys see, I'm not even, you know, making this up. Like he's using my screenshots and you know, my voice and everything, but he Africanized the whole information. He got almost 500,000 views. And now everything's Africanized again. And we're trying to help people realize something bigger than that.
Here is yet another, James Vernon Esquire. He was clerk in the secretary's office in King Charles II's reign. He is described as a tall, thin man of brown complexion, but when we look at his Wikipedia portrait, it looks nothing like the man. For all we know, this painting could have been misattributed, but this would mean that they have misattributed thousands of portraits, and at no point in time do these misattributions show a black man in the stead of a white man in a position of prominence.
So basically, he's also copying what I'm saying. Like that was my image from my video. I'm showing the white version. Remember, guys, I'm showing you the body snatchers, invasion of the body. I'm showing you this guy looks swarty. He's using the exact same logic and everything I'm trying to like he just couldn't do it on his own, so he had to use Mike's acting. He just put the AI voice over it.
And here we have another coin depicting Augustus, Elector of Saxony. The Saxons were Lutherans, a major branch of Protestantism. And as we mentioned before, many Moors converted to Protestantism to escape persecution during the Reconquista and the Inquisitions. Alessandro de' Medici, also called the Moor due to his dark complexion, he was ruler of Florence from 1530 to his death in 1537. He was also the first Medici to rule Florence as a hereditary monarch. And here we have a fresco depicting a tournament of knights. No comments.
Again, those were all from my videos. And all those images he was showing you, I'm talking over him. And this is the dismount for his video. Listen to what he says here at the end.
No, it is not Afro-descendants that should be labeled as historical revisionists. If anything, Afro-descendants have had to summon an inordinate amount of courage and intellectual curiosity to search for evidence that has for too long been denied. Courage to face ridicule in the face of an abundance of images and icons that shout from the frames of history that those who would like to rule by fear have failed to erase their contribution to history. Historical revisionists are these figures of authority who have known these facts for decades, often centuries, but haven't come forth with them. And somehow they have maintained the appellation of, quote, historians, end quote. A true historian has a duty to the truth of the past, and for those who have forgotten, they are gatekeepers of the consciousness of the future. And in this, most have failed us.
And I think that I'm gonna be very, very honest. Person might not like me, but you guys to listen, you gotta like take your own advice. You gotta take your own advice. You're saying some very deep stuff, and I agree with most of the stuff right here you're saying, but you gotta take your own advice. You're doing the same thing when you're still Africanizing the whole history. And saying that all Europeans that came that were black were Moors and they're from Africa. That's and you said all Americans are Africans. You said that at the end. You said because of the slave trade. All right. And you got a responsibility and you can't be gatekeepers, so you're kind of gatekeeping because there's probably a lot of new people that want to learn real history and they go to your channel first. And then you grabbed all these sources. You look like a very smart guy and everything. But then at the end of the day, you're adding conjectures and you're African and you're adding Pan-African views to it that we have debunked. False narratives that have to do with Darwinism. And continue.
And they instead rely on a Babel tower of lies and confusing narratives. And now that the knowledge of the African contribution to history, the missing centerpiece to the history of man, is being told correctly, it will do for both black and non-black generation what fake legislations, empty speeches, and the miseducation system was not able to do. Free our minds from fear, hatred, and inadequacy.
Hey guys, I'm not doing this so you guys can go troll him. Hey Daisy, that's not what I want you to go do because then he might come and just try to give me, copyrights and all that. These people are like that, guys. Like, even though I didn't do that, I could have done that. He's using my video. I could have done all that. I let it fly and stuff. And then people have been talking about it, keep sending me the video, and I keep having to explain, yeah, but I'm not cool with that part, and I'm not cool with this part. He's like, why don't you say something? I'm like, you know what? You're right. Let's just do a little review. But I'm not telling you to go troll him. If you do decide to go over there, could you be polite and respectful and just say, hey man, why, those sources don't say anything about African. Just tell them the basics. Don't have to mention me at all. Those sources don't say anything about these people being African. And if you're gonna use people's sources, you should, don't add no conjectures to it. All right.
Again, a huge shout out to all these channels and researchers. What they do is simply amazing.
So he said, listen, shout out to all these researchers and YouTubers. What they're doing is very amazing. Listen, he just said that.
Each one brings their unique perspectives and findings on true Black and African history that will not be covered in the mainstream. Kurimeo Ahau, Reeducated TV, The Debunker, Mr. Theory on Twitter.
So he just said Kurimeo Ahau, and then he's giving all the other names, right? He gave me a shout out at the end because he said, I'm teaching about Black African history. No, I'm not. No, I'm not teaching about Black African history. That's not what my channel's about. And when it comes to supporting, I support anybody who has their little hustle. I'm not gonna hate on your hustle, but I don't support your whole Africanizing of the history and the research we've been doing with Black Europeans and American so-called Blacks. Yeah, I don't support that at all, man. But shout out, thank you for the shout out, man, the free publicity, you know. Thank you for the free publicity. Hopefully, I'm hoping, I'm hoping that whatever intention you had, because it doesn't seem like a very genuine one to me, honestly, that it kind of backfired and people who actually went into the channel, you know, actually starting to see a real history, getting deeper and deeper and understanding, wow, what was he telling me that was Africans? Why was that guy telling me that was African? I went to the guy channel that he's giving a shout out to. He's not saying anything about African. He's actually debunking all that stuff. All right.
and all those that I have mentioned in the video description.
All right. So that's it. Shout out to everybody in the video description. He's saying, right? Again, in his video, right? Description, huge thanks to these amazing researchers, Kurimeo, right? Amazing. If you think I'm amazing, then why are you Africanizing the info? Damn. You know, I just wanted to go ahead and clear this up, guys. Honestly, you know, just wanted to go ahead and because a lot of people, you know, send me this video and I'm like, you know, I have to kind of explain myself all the time with it and what I think about it. And well, that's just what I think about it. Okay. And yeah, he did what he did. You know, you know, I wasn't born yesterday, but whatever, you know, we keep it, we slick. I can be slick too, you know, people are slick. I could be slick too. All right, I got my video and I got my views off of your video and you got views off of my research and it's all good. We all in the YouTube game, right? It's all about clickbaiting, right? Or is it? Is it about just clickbaiting and pushing our beliefs on people? Is that what this is really about? Clickbaiting and pushing our personal beliefs, generalized bias beliefs? Or is it about real truth? Talking about you have a responsibility as a historian. You know, you don't want to be a gatekeeper. You got to listen to your own advice. All right. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed the little presentation and remember, yeah, this is no way. Yeah, there was Black Europeans, but that's not why I'm saying no way. He just Africanized all my research. That's really why. No way. That's how shocked I was. You see my face? That's how shocked I was. They never told us this. Yeah, and you're not really telling. You're still not telling everything. You're still not telling everything. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed it. All right. I just wanted to say what I had to say about this. I'll be back this week with a lot more videos and research. All right. It never ends. All right. And there's going to be a lot more people like him copying. There's been people grabbing my stuff and flipping the narrative, twisting the words up for years. All right. This is just one example. Okay. You got to be able to discern the info out there. You got to be able to be smart, have all the context. All right. History is not generalized. It's not biased. You can't be biased with history or generalized with history. It's very complex. It's very complex, guys. All right. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Much love and respect. Pura vida, mi gente. Wow, we're going out with Robin Dre Beats. Yeah.
Dre, bye. Dre. Bye.